What's up gamers, Scrub here, and welcome back to the channel. Got another Broken Arrow match review for us to dive into tonight. This is going to be a relatively quick one, all things considered, but a good one nonetheless. Still running my Special Forces Armored AMPV deck, having a lot of fun with it. Wanted to kind of put out a couple more videos with this deck before I kind of mix it up, as I think it's got a lot of play still, and at least in this match it kind of shows you the textbook setup for it. It doesn't really, this match doesn't really go for super long, but that's fine. It's all good. Not many changes since the last match. I have decided to switch out the Nighthawk for an F-22. In this game, it doesn't really do much, but in a few other games I'm going to post later down the line, it really does, it's a way better change. They're a way better and more useful unit than the Nighthawk. And I want to thank, Jeppo for suggesting that, because F-22 with Stormbreakers kinda wrecks shit. So when running this deck, or even similar bruiser decks, if you want to call them that, you really want to be selecting a kind of like a point in the map that you're playing on, where there's a lot of, as I've said before, a lot of cover, a lot of buildings, all that. And when it comes to Suwalki Gap, we really only have maybe two lanes to deal with. All that would really be suitable. Predominantly it's B or C. I make the effort of ping and B early enough to hopefully get the lane and hope no one steals it, which it is still kind of common even at the elo where I'm now. And yeah, I'm actually getting quite high in the elo. Well, not I'm getting higher. I'm not high in any regards, but yeah, 1100 elo is not too bad. And I'm noticing the games are changing a bit. I can distinctly feel the lack of heli spam all the time as like a reaction. It still kind of happens here and there, but it's still, it's a bit more tamed. It's more of people heli spam as like a supplement to test your surroundings or how well your defense is. Yeah, so same opener with this deck. Not really much to change or really do. It's just kind of, this is what it's like. You got the recon little truck with some snipers or some cav, and then you got the AMPVs moving up. The big thing about Suwalki Gap and the B point here is like it's perfect for this type of deck, because really you want to be, it loses a bunch of steam, as you probably saw in the last match review, when you lose your resources and you kind of get put in this weird little you get caught in this weird little pocket where you don't have the resources to even defend, let alone attack, and you're kind of playing catch up for a good 10 to 15 minutes before all your resources are back here. Back to full strength. Do my best to kind of communicate with my teammates to kind of signal that we actually do need someone to go right, because and an interesting thing happens on the right, which kind of amazes me, and it still reminds me that we're not out of a low elo meme strats, if you will. It's weird. But going to the point I was making before, with B, this is a really nice objective, because there's a lot of positions where you can kind of place vehicles and stuff that are behind cover, just to kind of hold the point. And the whole thing is we want to be able to bait opponents into it, so they actually have to commit a lot of resources and have to come to my side of the objective, more or less, as well as which is then when you use the smokes and you pull the you bring the AMPVs in to get real close and personal with them, and just pop whatever transports and kill whatever infantry's inside. And this is really kind of a critical map for it, as well as with the ARMSOF opening. Because it does take a while for the AMPVs to get to the front line, you need that ARMSOF to drop the recon off and then get onto that objective right away to capture it. To if not hold it by the time you get there, or to just keep control of it from falling into the enemy. Because this deck is not really the best when on the attack, when you're outside of your kind of prep lines. It does a job for sure, and if you micro it well, you can definitely do some damage. But there is kind of a limit. You don't really want to overextend too much. Getting a little bit of this is I'm sure many of you guys have also been experiencing at the moment, but the servers are kind of cooked. In my last video, I'm here we're so back, everything, Broken Arrows. We're going to be in our heyday again. This is amazing, but dude, the servers have been cooked. I think thank God we've got this new setting where matches are cancelled when we don't really have a sufficient, when we don't have enough players or someone fails to connect on launch. But man, I legit had like 6 games in a row where it was just cancelled, and I just decided to give up for the night because a few matches I had before that were also cooked, just insanely, you know, tons of desync, laggy, just a complete mess and pretty much unplayable. One of the guys of the team here, kind of who's going right, I figure out a bit later on. He pretty much spends the whole match complaining about the desync, and I'm not gonna like knock someone about it because it is very frustrating, particularly with Seed. It's a pain in the ass when because the way the game and the way the game processes the server information, it's like you can have someone shoot a Seed missile at you. You can see it on your screen, turn your radar off, but by the time your client has sent the information to the server or sent it to the other person's screen, they have since killed your thing, and then the server just goes, oh, yeah, you're dead. So even though if you turn it off, you just die. And that kind of happens a couple of times in this game where it's just like randomly, a bit of server bugs out, and it's like units taking a bunch of damage and they just suddenly pop to full health. Which I won't be like a scrub and say it's a cheat, but it could be very frustrating with the desync. And we kind of see before, like we're dealing with a bit of a cruise spammy opponents right now. Little misplay with the Shorad right there, bringing it all way too up, and I'm kind of surprised it's not being punked right now, because the big thing with this map is those like 2 towers there in between F and B. You just kind of get caught if you. It's like this incentive, at least here on F side, there's an incentive to control those towers to be able to kind of put a bit of pressure over B. But where I'm not right now, I'm kind of like in the perfect position where I'm in the perfect position where I want to be, and I don't really want to be changing at all, because I can kind of easily create the tempo and use the terrain to my advantage to like utilize these expensive units to cause the maximum amount of damage possible. I'm really enjoying bringing up another Shorad instead of going for the Bradley rollout with a secondary Bradley. Just having 2 Shorad is kind of like, it's almost mandatory, because you could just get swamped by helis if you're not too careful, and or even just vehicles. Like, that's kind of one thing. If things aren't in position with this deck, you can kind of get caught out and be overrun quite easily. Look, absolutely Giga Chad players going on right now from Havoxo, I don't know, from old Lime Green over there. Like, dude just kind of runs through 3 objectives and just captures them, and then just decides to go, you know what, screw this shit, I'm going to charge all my stuff towards F to capture that. Like, I admire the guy's gusto, and I would like to live in his universe where, like, this is like his professional level play. But like, man, like, I won't knock it. It's kind of like working for sure. I'm sure it's probably putting a lot of like pressure and tilt on the opponents. Looking at what I'm doing right now, like I'm bringing up my secondary AMPV and Delta Force, just getting them ready to like be able to suck all my units out. At this stage, I'm still kind of quite, in bat. Here we go. This guy's just trying to like, look at that desync, man. Just brutal. Probably trying to get a little bit of a bomb on that building to clear anything there, but which is kind of why we've kind of spread these units around it and not so, not so conventional layout, because I want to kind of keep something on the objective to control it, but I don't want to be too far up to their side of it. And if you would think, going off monkey brain, you'd want to be kind of building your defense line on B, or if not on the other side of B. Tons of cruisers coming over here trying to get the Shorad, and it, 2 miss. Thankfully that misclick there actually managed to save the Shorad. And do we manage to pop smoke early enough? Yeah, we do. AMPV kind of caught out of position right here. The Moore's team AMPV probably could be that could probably be over next to that building there, or at least I could have it a bit further back towards the middle, because if I do attempt to kind of push towards to assist that Delta, Delta Force team right there, I'm going to have to expose myself to potentially tow teams coming from those skyscrapers over there. But that's like things to know for the future. I really do like playing on this lane, and it's quite fun when everything's kind of moving. Like, look at this, absolute Giga Chad charging across the field, no fucks given. Oh no, I've said a swear word, and now this video will be restricted, which always seems to happen. But it's all good. Shorad manages to get out a little bit, and it's got a little bit of health there, bringing up a bunch of supplies and stuff. One downside of this deck, one downside of this deck is with bringing the F-22, I didn't want to like pull any points from any other tabs, so I'm kind of having to bring only 3 logistics dudes. Logistics trucks, which can make a bit of an issue. Of course, at this point as well, we don't have the smoke, so we kind of have to play a bit passive. Nice little pop with the Moors and Moors team right now. Just pop those completely. Delta Force running into that building to hopefully but now they're dead. Misclick on my part, but also gotta love some classic friendly fire. Moving the AMPV back, pulling it back outside of the. Oh, boom, boom, boom! Tons of explosion. But yeah, moving the AMPV back. Just gonna keep the units moving. Not in the same place for too long. Thankfully, I do have reinforcements just at the back here, so I can pull them right back. Huge air presence on this map, and one thing, I'm not a huge fan of the pack 3. I don't think it really works with this deck in its current form because it does require quite a bit of babysitting, which can be a little bit frustrating. Yeah, man, I don't think servers really relates, can really explain why, you're just like feeding more or less at this point, but it's all good. We're in a strong position. We've got some nice snipers. We're building a little net, and we're in a good place. Doing my best to keep the AMPVs out of line of sight, which is one thing that's always important to. Ooh, does it go there? Yep. Am I going to notice that AMPV is kind of bugged out and it's like running into that corner there and can just be seen from that forest straight ahead? I hope I do, because I might just die. Of course, artillery, doing the artillery thing. Trying to communicate to my teammate the fact that we really need to be getting some frontline units right now, so to like stop any pushes coming from that side. I'm honestly really surprised that the opponent has, like, they're not pushing towards that whole flank, and I think it's maybe just because we've got like, I don't know, we got 2 people over here and one guy kind of just doing air at the moment. I don't really notice the AMPV mistake, but I am moving things around to kind of keep them a bit, to keep the unit active, which is, the biggest thing to kind of counter, cruise missile spam is to be constantly moving your units around so you don't really get caught out. So that's kind of like one big thing. Realizing that my AMPV is really in the wrong direction, not wrong side of the map, so, moving that over. Oh yeah, with the, what I was going to say, when it comes to the pack. Yeah, with the pack, I probably could have brought one out a bit earlier because I have been floating a ton of points. And just for my own notes there, like outside the thing I probably want to be buying, after getting the backup Delta Force and more team, is to be bringing those smoke launchers up, because that would really be, I'm kind of just hoping right now that they don't do a turbo push, because without those smokes I could really get caught out. But back to the pack thing, I could have definitely brought that out a bit earlier, but I'm a bit hesitant just by the fact that, yeah, I'm going to be focusing a lot of attention of the match onto here. And look at that, was that a missile coming in at it and maybe a bit of desync? I don't know, but the desync of this match is just too crazy, but I don't really think it's worth it bringing a pack. But we kind of need the AA over here just to not be kind of caught out by it. Really surprised that AMPV can move up and doesn't get punished, particularly there. One thing I like to do when fighting on this lane is to be bringing my my logistics trucks up and just dumping the supplies just behind those buildings there. And if I have the available little truck boys, I'll pop the supplies back in, and then I'll drop them out again when I need to actually use them, which stops any like random artillery shells like coming by and popping anything up, which is always kind of a good thing. Getting ready to set up all my smoke things to kind of do a little push and kill those Spetsnaz there. One thing in a later game, like the Spetsnaz anti-tank wreck shit, and they're kind of like a hard counter for the AMPVs. They just get so close and immediately pop them. Like, here we go, look, yeah, immediate surrender, because even though we're like, ahead on, we control a lot of the objectives, which we really shouldn't be, because the right side should be being pushed pretty hard right now. Even though we should be, yeah, this is ridiculous, kind of what's going on. I am friendly disconnects, and I think he reconnects shortly after this, just due to I think he's having some lag issues as well. I'm like, I've kind of tuned out as well, and I don't really know if this Havo or whatever actually did relog to do that shit. But as we can kind of see right here, when we've got the those tow teams in that building right there, it goes to show the absolute like the necessity of having. Oh, this is when it's going to die. No, like yeah, it goes to show the necessity of having smoke to be able to block the line of sight of a massive like view just coming from them, because you can see directly down B everywhere else. So you just need the smokes to be able to even do anything. Getting everything all ready to do the little bit of smoke push to go and kill these guys. Probably could be committing a couple more Delta Force to this push just to kind of get them out of there, because I'm really not putting anything into that little forest on the side right there, but you know, that's fine. I don't want to charge my AMPV in there because it could pop, and then we don't really have the resources to deal with the cheeky little infantry. Yeah, you know, whatever. Here we go, the smoke's coming down, doing the thing, bringing up some additional support, charging of the AMPVs to get into some nice little positions to kind of weave around in the smoke and take advantage of that. Probably could be recalling that ARMSOF right there, but I'm just kind of happy with chilling there. AMPV dropping out, running in there. Oh. A little BT, probably getting some infantry boys around to try and find where my Delta Force are, whatever units are there. Thankfully managed to spot the AMPV again and go and drop off the dudes behind the building. We just quickly pop that transport. Oh shit, there's some guys here. Bring the Delta Force over. Pop those guys out, move everyone around, try and kill these guys as quickly as possible. It's crazy how well suppression works when it goes to like stopping the damage you're actually taking, because that's just 2 AMPV autocannons laying on these 2 single dudes and they're just surviving. Pulling back the... Oh, what do we got here? Do we notice? Do we pop? Yeah, we do. I don't actually notice that thing going on there. What the hell is that? Come on, you can go. Chase it. Do I do it? Adding some additional smokes, pulling back the Delta Force, was flanking him around. Second AMPV. This would actually be kind of a little fun little battle right now. And I got my teammate bringing in some additional tank push coming on the right for no reason. But yeah, he's helping out at least at this point. Missed the micro there on my missed the micro right there, and I could have been moving those Morse teams over to the next building to be able to pop that little transport there, but we do eventually get it, thankfully. AMPV isn't really punished too hard for poking its head outside of those out of the smoke right there. Got the additional Delta Force up here, as well as a bunch of AMPVs in the back line to easily hop these guys into the transport and get them back into the fight. Really, you can just like immediately right there see the effect that this like this kind of has on people. We've just from those smokes being there, like we don't have anything there. There's nothing there, but we have been able to apply like this like psychological, I don't know, like torment to them, or even just like this tax of like, oh shit, there's tons of smoke, there's dudes there, I'll just lose my tanks immediately, so I'll pull back and just not do anything. Which is kind of like, yeah, wow, okay. Whoa, look at the desync. But it could also be they pulled back because they're about to relog or something, because the DC's cooked. Yeah, servers aren't good. Servers aren't good. Slytherin really have to fix what they're doing. Because, dude, this is kind of cooked. Dropping out the Delta Force with the logistics there to kind of restock them up. Everyone's kind of chilling there, and we're like, preparing for the next push if it does kind of come. Tanks doing their thing, kind of stocking up on quite a number of points right now, which is the benefit of this deck when you've kind of got everything on the board and you're in this strong fighting position. Absolutely nothing on A, B, or sorry, A, J, or I for some reason. Lime is just more than happy to be yeeting all this stuff, pushing towards F for reasons I can't really say. I feel like we got off quite we got off very lucky when it came to this match. We could have been actually versing opponents who, you know, weren't hyper fixating on F, but maybe that's just how it kind of plays. Who knows? Maybe that's just this game, or it's like everyone's focusing on F, E, and that other objective over there. But yeah, you know, it's like it's a fun deck. I've noticed like a couple other people playing it online, which is cool. I haven't run into an AMVP person myself yet. Well, that would be cool when we actually do see that. Might be interesting if we end up like fighting over the same point, but you know, whatever. Going into like, you know, the start of phase 2, we're in this fairly good strong position. I want to kind of like my plan at this moment now is to kind of keep my resources alive, restock my M106s to be able to like provide additional smoke if I need them, keep everything kind of moving, like tighten down my recon net so I can kind of really deal with anything. My teammates are putting a ton of effort into like air kills and stuff right now, and they're really just like trying to, you know, bomb a bunch of stuff. Lime is just, you know, yeeting stuff towards the front line. I'm not sure why, but you know, that's his truth. At this point I'm kind of like realizing that like, the dude hasn't, like, we've got nothing on this side of the map, and we really need to be at least getting something there to probably provide some recon, because all it will take is, you know, yeah, like yellow steamrolling some units down to A, and that whole side of the map will completely break. And when the opponents do realize that there's nothing on that side, they'll just dedicate all their resources there, and we'll kind of be caught out, and we'll lose this tempo that we currently have. So I'm doing my best to kind of be bringing stuff up, at least, you know, to cover this side. I really shouldn't be, as you know, it's on Lime here to be doing by himself, but you know, it is what it is. Sending the Silent Hall back as I brought some ST teams up, just in case for a little bit of a backup for the Shorad. I'm pretty sure at this point my pack 3 is dead, and I kind of wanted to get the little Stinger teams up there to maybe deal with these what do you call them? Drones chilling about. Big criticism towards myself right now. I'm kind of getting a bit too passive, and you know, I'm getting too caught in on the details. And someone did kind of bring up in the last match that I had seemed to be constantly losing all my units when I looked away and I wasn't actually paying attention. And at this point I'm not really paying attention to the front. I'm more focusing on things that are going around instead of actually, you know, putting effort into like actually playing my lane. But as well, you know, to counter that, like, not against what that guy was saying, but this is kind of what this deck does right now. My goal is to kind of meat grind on B, hold this point, keep control of it, and that's really it. One thing I could be doing, like right now, is to be moving the AMPVs up to that first line of buildings and kind of keep them ready there in like a nice position. Maybe bring some additional like Cav Scouts onto the actual objective itself to kind of be able to move up that recon net to feel a bit more comfortable placing my stuff where people can't see it. This is going to be an absolute atrocious Raptor run, but you know, it's fine. It's fine in the grand scheme of things, as I was still kind of getting a bit of a read of how to use the Stormbreakers. As I think a lot of the times I think they're a bit too. I think they're stronger than they actually are, and I don't really allocate my strikes correctly. So I'm a little bit bored, in all honesty. So I'm just kind of going around looking at, oh, where's stuff shooting from? Let's have a look, that one there, and I completely, like, I don't even click on the point. I probably should have been paying a bit more attention. But that's one thing that I've at least found personally when it comes to air. Like, once you bring the acid onto the field, you're kind of panicking, just wanting to use it as quickly as possible, when you could just be... Yeah, like, this is kind of like a waste of an F-22. And a way better play would have been right here, is to bring the F-22 up, yeet my Sentinel drone like directly towards their line because they're not moving their shit, and then taking advantage of the line of sight that does the give, and then Stormbreak and just like smack all the SU-300s. And that would have been a way better play and a way better use of the resources. Just kind of preparing right now to get an additional layer of smoke onto this objective, as I feel like we are getting to the point where a push might be coming, and I want to be kind of prepared for that. My AMPVs are really, yeah, like, I think a strong thing I can say right now is my AMPVs are too deep into the lane, and I'm kind of relying on, I'm relying on them moving to there before the push will even come, and the whole point of this deck is to kind of smoke and then fight them in the smoke, where they could be able to get into position and kind of just like wreck me. I do have plenty of AMPVs in reserve, which is nice. So the smokes start coming down as we get ready to move our stuff up. And I think as well I'm dropping these smokes to assist my teammate over here with those dudes in the building right there. I don't know, as weird as this is to say, like sometimes I kind of feel like people are just like bots in this game. Like this guy actually isn't actually a person, but just a bot, like, you know, selecting everything and then just going fast move attack to this point, because like I don't know how this guy got to this elo, and like when I've been struggling to even get games going and shit. And yeah, okay, yeah, and game's done now. Yeah, there we go. That's kind of the match. It ended a little bit abruptly, which is, you know, sucks, but got some interesting stats for us to go through here today, which is, you know, always cool. And yeah, like, yeah, ended very abruptly, which is, you know, kind of goes to show that sometimes people give up way before they really need to give up. I really don't see why we got very lucky in this game. Opponents could have easily, they should have won, quite frankly. Old Lime Green over on the right was kind of just like, you know, throwing it more or less, just constantly feeding the entire game. Admittedly, I wasn't doing much in my lane, but I was kind of like, I feel like if he wasn't actually doing that crazy throw, I would have probably been getting a bit more pressure, but I was also building up to, like, you know, do something. I promise. And honestly, if it wasn't before the other guys pushing the other lanes and, you know, doing all that good stuff, like, we would have just been like, I don't know how I do not know why they didn't even send some recon towards the upper objectives and just, you know, even try to push it or even do anything, because it's wild. You know, so it goes to show what the actual map state. Unless you've got recon across the whole map, you don't really know the map state, so you really shouldn't get into like a doom spiral about how the actual game's going. You know, crazy performance from me right now with like, what, 1.1 versus 900 def? Like, that's pretty bad, I will say, but yeah, the game didn't go to the full length. But I hope, overall, you can kind of see how this deck works and how it would be very beneficial on certain maps like this. Before I keep yapping and all that good stuff, I just want to kind of, you know, give a big thank you to everyone who's been watching the channel. We've been growing like a crazy amount, and I'm really appreciative for everyone here. You know, and everyone who likes or leaves a comment, that always makes me really happy. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm loving doing this for you guys. It's really fun and whatnot. And I'm interested to hear what type of things guys would be interested in. I know a lot of people do live commentaries and all that type of stuff, and I was thinking like, oh, maybe I could like actually turn my mic on when I'm playing and upload a couple of those videos a week, and then supplement with a match review like maybe once a week, as I'm sure live commentaries would be a lot easier to do. But saying that as well, as I'm sure many of you can relate, Broken Arrow is a hectic, intense game, and a lot of the time, unless you're yapping to someone, and even then, you're like focusing or swearing or just like making weird noises and shit, because you're just like hyperfixating and not really paying attention to what you're actually doing. But yeah, if you guys are interested in that or anything else, please let me know. I'm keen to get your opinion, or, you know, at least hear your insights. And yeah, yeah, overall, interesting game. Very cool. It's like, thank God for the patch that came through. Like, dude, I couldn't imagine, like, this would have been a textbook example of people dropping out because they get flustered and they don't really, you know, not really aware of how the actual game state is, and then they drop out. But thankfully they surrendered and the game just kind of ended. We really should have lost that game, but it is what it is. I'll take the win. I'll take the big buff in Elo, which is wicked. And yeah, actually on the Elo mark, like, I'm gonna keep yapping for a bit of stuff, so if you wanted to tune out here, go ahead. But I've actually I managed to somehow, you know, Broken Arrow doing the matchmaking thing, I managed to get into a game with like people with 1800 Elo, and it was crazy. Like, holy crap, it was wild. Definitely kind of, I can see the difference between, you know, what's that, 1100 and 1800. It's night and day. Like, the micro plays was so much more, and people were actually doing meta shit and actually working together as a team. It was crazy. Like, of course, you know, we played on Kaliningrad as always, and I don't know if there's some super powerful strat which I'm not aware of, but the entire team outside of me and this other dude decided to do a full air rollout with all their stuff in aircraft, in helis, despite not having an air tax, and I'm sure that went as well as you expected. And 2 guys rage quit. and it was just kind of me and 3 other people where we surrendered, you know. So that was kind of my extent of playing at 1800 ELO, but it was really cool. It was really fun, and I got a greater appreciation and understanding for the BTR or BMP, whatever you want to call it, the spam. Like, dude, there's just a ton of vehicles, and they literally just highlight everything and fast move attack, and that's literally it. And of course, the Moors team absolutely like caned it, and the Delta Force did really good, but like they just overwhelm you, and like you got this big blob of stuff coming through, and then tanks, and it's like, what are you supposed to do? You know, especially when people would want to just play helicopter and not actually bring ground units, which is, you know, bizarre. But of course, you know, I guess that's kind of it. I'm really happy to have you all here watching these videos. Leave a like, comment, or subscribe if that's your thing. More match reviews to come. I've got plenty in the work, and yeah, Broken Arrow's in a really good place, and I'm really enjoying doing this. Hope to see you all for the next one. Peace.